Okay, so my name's Melissa. For those who don't know me, I am an elite ambassador here at Q. We've just been going through Eric Worre's book, Go Pro. So this is week 3. If you haven't had a chance to catch the other recordings, go back and do that. We talked a little bit about why the industry is the way it is and why it's really going to be the focus for the new economy as we move forward. And we talked about just, some of the initial skills of getting started in the industry. So finding your prospects, inviting them, exposing them to your opportunity or to a product. And then last week we talked a little bit about follow-up. So want to share, this week we're going to be talking about overcoming objections. And the first thing to understand about objections is that they are a really natural response. So if you're getting objections from people, that doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It just is a very normal reaction from people. And in fact, a lot of times people will give you an objection just because they want to feel smart, like they want to feel like they know something about the industry. So don't take that personally. It's just, something inside of them that makes them feel like they need to bring that up. So remember, your goal is to educate people. It's really not to be tied to the outcome or to get them to join or buy anything. And I want to know in the comments what some of the objections you all have gotten, either from people that you are hoping to purchase as a customer or as an ambassador. Or you can shout them out if you want. Okay. No money, no time. What else? Too busy. Ingredients, questioning ingredients. That's interesting. So not interested. Is that an objection? Not good at selling. No experience. Can't afford it. Don't want to spend the 100 PV. Yeah, don't have a big following, not an influencer. Okay, so there's 2 main things that objections generally stem from. And a lot of times you'll hear, if you can answer these questions, can I do this? Does it make sense? And will someone help me? Those are usually where people need to feel like a strong, resounding confidence in you in order to say yes to this. But a lot of times objections will come from either limiting beliefs in themselves personally or their ability. So that could be I can't afford it. I don't have enough money. I'm just not good at sales. I don't have a big influence. I don't have enough time. Or it could be a limiting belief in the industry. So they're worried about, is this one of those things, right? Is it a pyramid scheme? Is it an MLM? Worried about that kind of stuff. Yep, exactly. So when it comes to limiting beliefs around yourself, or any objection really, your leadership stems from the ability to empathize. So a lot of times our natural reaction is to get really defensive. Of course you have money, you have a cell phone, you go to Starbucks, you all those things. And think about when it's the memes where millennials were man, if I just gave up my avocado toast, I would be able to afford a house. Maybe it's not so much that, but they need you to show empathy, because if you come at them defensively, that's just going to make them feel inferior. And that's not the like level of posturing that you want to have with that person. So one of the really great tools that you can keep in your back pocket is the idea of feel, felt, found. So I know what you feel, like relating to them. I know how you feel. I felt the same way too. Share your story or share an experience, or if it's not your experience, share someone else's story, and then tell them what you found here, or why this is different, or why this changed your mind, or how you were able to overcome whatever the objection that they are telling you is. So, for example, like, I know how you feel. When I first got started with this, or when it was first introduced to me, we were struggling, like paycheck to paycheck, didn't know how we were going to pay our bills, like everything was stressful. I totally like felt that same way, where I was like, I literally don't have two pennies to rub together, like how am I going to make this work? But what I found is that that's the whole reason why I needed to do this, right? Like nothing changes unless something changes. And so this was kind of a make or break opportunity for me, where I needed to, step up and actually do this. Something like that, like share your story. If that's not your story, then share someone else's story and connect them to somebody that they would be able to relate to. So the way that you can also do this is by asking questions and learning, like if somebody says they're not interested, I would press that and just ask, like, why? Or do they have a story around it? Like, have they had a negative experience in the past? Like, dig deeper and find out where that objection actually lies within that. Man, I don't know why this does this. Okay, so when it comes to the finances objection, this is one of the things that Eric Worre says. So he says, if you really felt this was a chance for you to take control of your financial future, do you think you could find a way to make it happen? And I'm going to share just a little bit of some of the other like conversations that he has with people. If I can find it. So again, asking questions more around like, if this really was a no-brainer for somebody. So like, if you had full confidence that you would get your investment back, like, would you say no to this? Or if I could show you how to earn $750 in your first month, like, would you stop me from doing that? I don't think so, right? Like, nobody would say no to that if they had full confidence that this was going to get them to where they needed to be. And so our goal is to provide more information until they feel confident enough to say yes or say no. So the idea is that you are showing them that you're in the same boat, or you were in the same boat, you relate to them, or you're connecting them to somebody that they can relate to, because this is what's going to build trust. And you really want to have that connection with them. It creates a bond that they realize that they, can tell you more information, because a lot of times people aren't going to just immediately start sharing about all of their financial problems or all of their health problems, or, whatever it is. And so being able to kind of build that bridge of trust is your goal. When it comes to industry concerns, this is usually because somebody had a bad experience. Either personally, they had a bad experience with the industry, or they heard a horror story from somebody that they know. And it also could just be a level of skepticism because someone didn't fully explain or give them an accurate expectation for what they should expect. So like this is where you get people coming in thinking that this is going to be their chance to make $1 million in a month, right? Like it doesn't happen like that. It's still a business that you have to work and put time into. And so a lot of times people feel burned because they came in with the wrong expectations of either how much time this is going to take, how much work it is, the time frame on like how long it will take to get there, or maybe they didn't realize that there are some skills that they would have to learn along the way in order to be successful at this. So I want to share a little bit about what Eric says just in conversation. So he'll say, wait a minute, like if they bring up a concern about the industry, is this one of those things? Oh, I don't know. I don't do MLM companies. Like I'm not interested in MLMs. He says, you have a story. What happened? Like, were you involved in network marketing at some point? Tell me your story. And this kind of opens the door to them sharing their experience or sharing what they heard from somebody that they know. So they might say, yeah, I joined a company a few years ago. I bought some product and lost money. He always responds to these things with a question. So the question would be, what do you think was the reason you didn't have success? And they say, well, you know, someone talked me into it. I didn't have a lot of time. I thought more people would join me. They didn't, whatever their story is. And then he responds with, do you think you really gave it a fair shot? And then they say, well, maybe not really. And he would say, okay, so was network marketing, like was the industry the problem? Or was it maybe just that your personal timing in your life wasn't right? And they might say, well, actually, maybe it just was the timing wasn't right. And I didn't really put as much effort into it as I thought. So that dynamic really allows you to dig out the story, but also show them the root causes behind their objection. So maybe it's not the industry, maybe it's really just, something that happened in their life or in someone's life that caused them to have a negative perception of the industry. You can also share how you overcame that as well. A lot of us have come from other companies, and I think that is really important to share those stories. And I even go so far as to say, like, I know that there are probably people from my previous project that I've burned bridges with without knowing any better, like not out of a sense of malice or ill intent, but just simply because I didn't know what I didn't know. And I know better now. And I know that not all companies are created equally, and that not all comp plans are created equally, and that there are real systems that I can help, plug people into and, and just have a conversation about what you've found. So feel, felt, found again, being kind of the driving force here. And it doesn't really matter what you say to someone, as long as you're keeping empathy at the forefront and asking questions, because that's really what's going to lead you to know what to say next. So it doesn't have to be super scripted. You don't have to worry about saying the right or wrong thing. I would just speak from the heart and really come at it from a mindset of, I'm truly trying to help you, and just educate you and get you information on what I found. So the next thing I want to talk about is actually getting to the point of enrolling. How many of you think that you're good at closing the sale? You're a pretty strong enroller or closer. Ooh, don't all answer at once. Yeah. A lot of us, I think, struggle in this area, and I'm actually going to hold back so that I can see everybody. And I want to talk through this. So I will admit to you, I am not the world's strongest enroller. I think it's definitely a skill that we have to learn, and it's much easier for me to close someone else's sale than my own. And I think a lot of us are probably like this too, where it's easier to be detached from the outcome if it's someone else's than like someone I know personally, and I really have just dreamed of them always, coming and working with me, and I am emotionally attached to that outcome, right? So one of the things that I would really encourage you to do is to use tools. And one of those tools being a three-way chat or connection to somebody that's not you, because they're going to be the more impartial third party and really help you not like get overly excited, word vomit at this person, or like drag them down a path that maybe they're not yet ready for. And so I would say, and I know Jen has said this before too, if we're not seeing three-way chats from people, like that's usually a good indicator that their enrollment numbers are lower, right? So like, and maybe like people will get lucky or have raw talent and be able to do that on their own. But I would say most people that try it on their own just don't have as much success as people that use tools like three-way chats. The other part of enrolling is posture. So remaining detached from the outcome and looking at yourself more like a consultant, looking at yourself more like, you're literally just here to basically interview them and see if this is something that might be a good fit for them. So think about it that way. Like people that are interviewing in the corporate world, or if you owned your own brick and mortar business and you were trying to find someone to come and work for you, like what standards would you have for those people? And, like what qualities do you want them to have? What commitment level do you want them to have? Like this really comes back to qualifying prospects and asking a lot of really good questions is how you're going to get those answers. And it's okay to ask hard questions, like how much time do you think you would have to commit to this? How much money would you need in order to, feel comfortable? And based on that response, if it's, well, I think I need $1,700 a month, then okay, like, are you willing to treat this like a full-time business that it is? Like you are the owner of your own business, because that's what it's going to take to get that kind of income. If you want hobby income, that's totally fine, but I just want to like level set the expectation with you up front of what that's going to mean. And there's no wrong answer. Like there are people in this that just want to get their products covered, just want to get some money off, whatever it is. But there are also people that treat this like a business, and those are the ones that, have reflective amount of income. So other tools that you can use too are like making sure that you're prepared so that no matter when these conversations happen, you can be ready to enroll someone. So who all has the ARQ app downloaded? Yes. So the worst thing that could happen is somebody says like, you're having a conversation with someone, you saw them at the coffee shop or whatever it is, and then you're like, I'm not actually ready to do this right now. Like, let me go home, let me get somebody, let me get on my computer. Like if they're ready, their excitement and interest level is at its highest at that moment. If you have to take a break and like pause that and wait, their doubt starts to creep in and their fear starts to creep in. So having the ARQ app is one of the ways that you can do that. And there are enrollment links now directly from ARQ. So hopefully everyone knows that. For our international people, it's coming. I think it's not rolled out yet, so you will have to use your regular enrollment link. But for that, I would save it as a, what is it called? Like a shortcut on your phone, so that you can just immediately like text it over to them, and you have it ready to go. So preparedness and using tools like that is really going to help you keep that posture and be able to do this on their time frame, not necessarily yours. The other thing is Rachel's like how-to graphics, so how to like click through and what to do, and it shares like grab your 100 PV of products. I think all of those things are really good tools. Having a product guide saved that you can send to people right on the spot is another really good tool. So keeping in mind that your goal with this is to educate them, you want them to get to a point where they really say like, wow, now that I know enough about this, like this is a no-brainer. Like I would be silly to say no to this. Like how many of you thought that when you first started? I think a lot of us definitely felt that way. And it came from what? Like a lot of watching the person that we enrolled, a lot of seeing that they're serious about this and their consistency, and them opening their doors to their business every single day on social media or in person, whatever it is. And a lot of potentially asking questions. Like I would much rather get questions answered for people, even if they're not directly asking you, like those questions exist. So your goal is to educate them above all else. The other thing that I think we can get better at, myself included, is promoting yourself. People want to join people. They don't necessarily want to join a company. And so like, are you going to provide value to that person and their business? And what does your team do for them? Like why should it be your team and not Claudia's team or, whoever else? So why is it important to join with you? And some of that could just be timing. Like maybe they are going to be your first or second ambassador, and getting that positioning is so awesome because that means all of the rest of the volume is going under them. So that's a huge advantage for people. Maybe it's, that you have the time right now to devote to somebody one-on-one. Or your team specifically is one of the fastest growing teams internationally right now. Whatever it is, like figure out a way to promote yourself or what you bring to the table. Or I'm really good, like find out what your percentages are. Like how many people have you gotten to Builder Pro Executive of the ones that you've enrolled? Figure out a way to promote yourself and your team. And let me see here. There's a couple of different questions that he uses in the book to qualify people. So I just want to go through these as well. So the first one is, like, based on what you've seen, if you were to get started on a part-time basis, how much would you need to earn to make this worth your time? And so again, like if they come back with, well, I need to earn $10,000 a month, that's not part-time income. So then we need to have a conversation. Second question is, approximately how many hours do you think you could commit each week to develop that kind of income? And I also like to have the conversation too that a lot of times the beginning of your business is like pushing the rock up the hill, right? Like that initial effort is going to be some of the like strongest and hardest that you will have to get through. But once your team starts duplicating, that's really when like the momentum takes off and your team is in team momentum and you were in personal momentum, right? And so that takes some time. Like our company is in company momentum right now, but you still have to fill in your own pieces of the puzzle to get there. Yeah. Question 3, how many months would you work for those kind of hours in order to develop that kind of income? And I love this question because I think it shows that it's a long-term vision kind of game. Like this is a marathon, not a sprint. I also love to relate this back to brick and mortar businesses. So if you were to open up a brick and mortar business, like you're starting your own health and wellness storefront downtown, how much money would you have invested, and what realistically would you think is a time frame for when you would start making a profit? Because we know most places your investment is $50,000 to $200,000 plus for brick and mortar, and the time frame is often, I think it's something like 5 years before you would expect to start earning a profit. And so this is not like small time thing. It's the exact same thing. It's just that your storefront is online. So you have that advantage of not having all of the super high overhead, but it doesn't mean that the time frame and the amount of time that it would take to actually build an organization worthy of that kind of income is any different. And then the last question is, if I could show you how to develop an income of whatever they said they wanted per month, working however many hours a week over the course of however long their months they said, so they've already given you kind of what their expectation is, would you be ready to get started? And most of the time, their answer is going to be yes. Another really good question to ask is like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how ready would you say you feel to do this? And however much they say like on that scale, that shows you whether you need to go back and educate and ask more questions and find out, where their hesitancies lie, or whether you're like, okay, let's get started. So I think that a lot of it comes back to qualifying. Anyone have any questions or like any examples of stuff that they're dealing with right now that we can talk through as far as getting people started or overcoming objections?
Hi. Okay. This lighting is horrible. Hold on. I wanted to touch on a few things. Okay. 3-way chat. So this is one thing that I'm kind of noticing a lot. And it's one thing that I've kind of had to like look in the mirror about too, is sometimes when people get, actually most times when people get me in 3-way chats, I'm seeing a lot of just educating on the company, the comp plan, products, whatever it may be. Like they're talking up the company, and I'm never seeing, people asking like, what do you want to get out of this? Like, what amount of money would help you? Like, are you more interested in products? Like things like that. And so I think we all just need to, when we're talking on our own or starting the 3-way chats or whatever it is, just kind of recognize the way we're talking to people and really, and the top leaders talk about this all the time, like find their pain point, like figure out what they need, like make it about them, so stop being like, and I know we're all very excited about Q and like what we have to offer, and we have the best compensation plan. It's hard to not like shout that from the rooftops and word vomit all over people, but just kind of trying to recognize that you're doing that and trying to be more so focused on the person that you're talking to and what they want to get out of this. Because I think since I've kind of recognized that and started like taking a different approach, I'm having the conversations going on longer. People are, more willing to open up to me and more responsive, I guess. Like they don't go ghost on you, because they feel seen and they want to feel heard. So that was one thing about just 3-way chats or chats in general. And then social media, this is another thing I see a lot, and it's kind of the same. but I just see a lot of people sharing like graphics on the comp plan, which every once in a while that's great, but like there's people that only share graphics, like only share graphics on the comp plan or only share graphics on the products or whatever. Like they're not getting on and like talking. They're not showing their energy and their excitement for like what we have here. And I'm not saying you have to get on and talk every single day, but like just showing people that you're not, you know, a robot behind a screen sharing graphics. Like you're a real person that's really excited and confident in what we have here. And talking about your team. Like if you don't have a team yet, talk about your cross-sign team. Nobody knows who's your specific team, right? You don't have to say my team. You can say our team. So just talking about the people on your team, whether they're below you, above you, across from you, whatever, talking about like how everyone's winning here. And it doesn't have to be winning in the sense of bringing in a huge paycheck. It could be like this girl came from a company where she never enrolled a single person and then she's enrolled 3 customers since being here. Like it can be anything. So that's all I had to say about those 2 things.
Yeah, I love that.
Be excited. That's all I want. Confidence.
Cool. I will stop the recording. That way, if anyone is shy and wants to talk after, we can.